Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar. You're working so hard to pay off your credit card debt, but the balance barely moves. What gives? Well, it turns out many of us are actually making one of these 6 big mistakes when it comes to paying off credit card debt, which is costing us more money and more time. Thank you so much for joining me here at Sisters for Financial Independence. My name is Catherine Agupjan. I'm a financial educator. I'm a mom to a very active 5.5-year-old. And here at Sisters for Fi, I cover topics related to money, motherhood, and everything else in between. If that's something you want to learn more about, subscribe here for Sisters for Fi. As a mom, I know firsthand how easy it is for credit card debt to pile up. Maybe it's a last-minute visit to urgent care. Maybe it's a shopping trip gone sideways. Unfortunately, balances can add up on our credit card even when we are so careful with our budget. In today's video, let's go over the 6 biggest mistakes many of us are making when paying off credit card debt. I'll also show you what to do instead so you can save yourself hundreds or even thousands of dollars in interest and finally have peace of mind knowing that you are no longer in credit card debt and you can start off each month fresh. Let's start with mistake number 1. And that is only paying the minimum balance. Now, as a credit card user, our number 1 goal and priority should always be to pay off our balance at the end of each month. But you and I know that sometimes we have bad months. We may not have planned for an expense, and that snowballs into another bad month. And unfortunately, this puts you into a cycle of debt. So what we want to do is not be so hard on yourself. We can change our habits, but we do need to take a proactive approach when it comes to spending, when it comes to charging things on our credit card, and when it comes to paying off our debt. Now, I totally get that sometimes the minimum payment is all you can swing after a whole month of surprise cost. But here's the problem. Only paying the minimum means you could be in debt for years and pay way more in interest than you spent in the first place. Your credit card company loves when you do this because they get that money from you. The interest they charge pads their bottom line. Unfortunately, too, if you do start accruing interest on your purchases, anything that you have purchased, whether it was on sale, whether it was a good deal, has now cost you more. So you've just negated buying an item that was on sale. If you think about it, you didn't really save money at all. You have added on interest to your purchase. Let's pull up a credit card calculator so you see how those numbers add up. There are many calculators you can find online to help you figure out your debt payoff plan. I'm going to show you one from the Financial Mentor so we can see the difference in our payoff when we are adding an extra amount each month. So I am just entering some numbers here based on the average credit card statistics available from lendingtree.com. Average credit card debt balance is around $7,000. Average interest rate is 22.8, and I've put in a current monthly payment of $150, but we can add an additional $50. So if we do this and calculate this particular debt, we can pay off this debt in 116 months with just the current monthly payment. But if we add an extra $50 each month, the revised payoff term has dropped to 59 months. That's a significant difference of 57 months. And we've also saved a good amount of money in interest, from around $10,000 to around $4,600, with a total interest savings of $5,732. That's a big deal. This is why it's super important to really have a plan in place when it comes to figuring out your debt payoff. Here's what you need to do instead. Even if money is tight, try adding a little bit above the minimum, whether it's $20, $30, or $50. Put anything you can to pay above the minimum. Every little bit helps. So whether you are getting some cash back, whether you've sold some of the kids' old stuff or old furniture you had lying around, or whether you're getting a tax refund that you're going to divide up, put that money towards a credit card balance. One of the things many of us actually don't understand is how interest accumulates on a daily basis on the balance of our credit card. So even when we're paying the minimum, the fact that we still have a balance means interest is accruing and it's actually growing faster than we can pay off. We'll cover interest in a little bit, and that is going to be one of the other mistakes we need to watch out for. Mistake number 2 many of us are making when it comes to paying off credit card debt is actually not knowing enough about our interest rates and not knowing enough about how our interest is calculated when we have a balance on our credit card. Credit cards have what's called a variable interest rate. So the interest rates on our credit cards actually fluctuate greatly depending on the prime rate. The problem, however, is that many of us don't actually pay attention to the interest rate. On top of this, many of us also don't understand how interest is calculated. I mentioned earlier that interest is calculated on a daily basis based on the balance on your credit card. Your goal is to get that balance down faster to slow down the accumulation of interest. So here's what you're going to do to fully understand how interest is calculated and how it's accumulating on your credit card balance. Number 1 is to download all of your credit card statements. Now, because many of us have gone digital, many of us are also ignoring some of the credit card statements. So do the paper copy, review it front to back, and then list out all of your credit cards, list out its interest rates, and list out if there's any promotional periods where you may have a lower interest rate. Then what I'm going to recommend that you do is actually use a daily interest calculator so you know how much interest is accumulating on your debt if you're not paying it off on time. This can help spark some motivation in you to either earn that money so that it's not adding up to your credit card debt. I also recommend figuring out a plan for paying off credit cards that you can follow it through. There's usually 2 methods when it comes to paying off credit card debt: the avalanche and the snowball method. With the avalanche, you pay the highest interest. Most likely though, in this scenario, your credit cards have very similar interest rates. So the avalanche, while it's supposed to save you money on interest, probably will not because of the current high interest rate. Your other method is the snowball, and this is where you focus on the smallest balance first. You pay the minimum on everything else, and any extra money you have, you pay off that small balance. Once that balance is cleared, you are going to now take that extra money and move it to the next balance. And this will allow you that snowball effect. The snowball is one of the most effective ways to pay off credit card as well as other debt. And there are reasons why for that. So I'm going to have you check that out here so that you understand how the snowball uses psychological wins to get you to your goal faster. The other calculator that I also want you to start using is the credit card interest calculator. So you can see how much interest is accumulating if you don't pay down your balance. And this one is from nerdwallet.com. Here is our example. So we have a balance of around $7,000 and we have an APR of 22.8 and we have 30 days in the billing period. Remember that for credit cards, interest accumulates daily. So let's go ahead and calculate this. And here is our result. So for this particular balance of $7,000 at 22.8%, if we're not paying this balance off, we will be charged around $132.37 of interest per cycle. If you are trying to buy something on sale and trying to save money but putting it on credit card and not paying that off, then you will be paying an additional over $100 in interest. So that means anything you bought on sale has now cost you more. The next mistake many of us make when it comes to paying off credit card is closing off our credit card account too soon. Now, paying off a card feels amazing, and I know we want to forget about it, cut off that card, and close that account. Unfortunately, when we do this, it dings our credit score which affects any potential request we may have to get a better rate on other credit cards we might have. Instead of closing the credit card account, which requires a phone call to your credit card company, cut up the card instead, remove it from any digital wallets. That's Apple Pay, Google Pay. Remove it from your browsers and spend a few months not adding anything to that credit card. This is an exercise in not relying on your credit card, not defaulting to it. So if it's not anywhere accessible, you won't use it. Keep your account open to help with your credit history and then your credit score. Now, after a few months of not relying on your credit card, what you're going to do is put one thing on it, one kind of subscription that you have to pay monthly, and then you are going to set up auto pay on it. And what this does, it allows you to continue to build your credit history as well as build a history of on-time payments on this credit card account, which ultimately builds up your credit score. After a few months of building this credit history and building up this credit score, you are going to call up your other credit cards and negotiate for better rates. If you still have balances on those, your new score should help you get lower rates, which means you can now pay off your debt much faster. Mistake number 4 that many of us make when it comes to paying off credit card debt is actually using a balance transfer without a plan. A balance transfer is an amazing tool to supercharge your credit card payoff. But if you don't have the right plan in place, you could actually end up just going in a cycle of balance transfers, which doesn't eliminate your debt, but adds extra stress to you and your family. So here's what you need to do instead. Grab yourself a piece of paper, go open up Google Sheets, and map out how you will pay off the transferred balance. There's a bunch of calculators that's available online to show you what you need to do each month to pay off your balance. Keep in mind that balance transfers have a promo period. So you want to make sure you're paying off that balance transfer before the promo period ends. This is how you save money, and this is how the balance transfer becomes an effective tool for paying off debt. If after you've calculated some of your balance transfer monthly payments, it doesn't become realistic, like it's too much, then you might need to go back to the snowball method to pay off your debt. The next mistake many of us make when we're trying to pay off credit card debt is actually not having enough of a backup plan for emergencies. Emergencies happen. Our kids get sick, the car breaks down, we need a new water heater. So what you need to start doing is also to start putting money away for a mini emergency fund. We all need to be prepared. Keep in mind that your mini emergency fund should be small. You need to start out small, and every little bit prevents you from going into credit card debt. Remember when we looked at our interest rates accumulate so much faster. If we can just reduce that accumulation or even stop it by not putting anything on a credit card, we can save ourselves money and stress over. Credit cards should not be used for emergencies. You should have a fund in place for these unexpected expenses. Now, along the same lines, many of us are also caught off guard by these things that seem like emergencies, but actually they're just the fact that we've just failed to plan for certain things. So what I actually recommend also as you work towards this journey is to create yourself an annual budget so you know exactly some of the expenses that's coming up for your family, and you start creating sinking funds and saving funds towards that. I'll share more about an annual budget here so you can take a look and learn more about it. The last mistake that many of us make when it comes to paying off credit card is actually doing it on our own. Unfortunately, credit card debt carries in itself shame, some guilt, and some blame. And many of us do try to get out of credit card debt on our own. But we need support, we need community, and if you have a partner, you need to be working with your partner to get on the same page when it comes to money. Managing the household finances and bearing the brunt of all of those financial decisions, as well as the stress of debt, should not fall only on one person. Both of you need to be on the same page. So here is what you need to do instead. If you are doing this on your own as a single individual, find an accountability partner. Maybe it's you starting to talk with some of your friends, letting them know your goal to get out of credit card debt. You would be surprised at how many people will be on board to help you along the way, or also be with you as they pay off their credit card debt. Many people want to do this but are afraid to start, but having someone in your corner, maybe doing the same thing that you are, can help you along the way. If you are partnered up, then it's time to have an open conversation with your partner about what's happening in your household. Let them know your emotions, how you're feeling about all of this credit card debt. Do you feel scared for your family? Do you feel scared for your kids? Do you just want support? Do you want help? How do you tackle it together so that you can get out of credit card debt much faster? Unfortunately, many of us will feel the shame, will feel the blame and the guilt of going into credit card debt. But know this, we can come out of it. We can create new habits, we can learn more about finances, and we can get on the path to being debt free. Create a vision for your future. What does that look like? And focus on that. Because when you do that, it means any money you earned will go towards that vision of your future, that vision where you are no longer drowning in credit card debt. To help you on your journey, I've added some free sources in the description, including some free printables you can use to track your payoff journey. I hope this video has provided you a plan of action to help you mitigate some of the mistakes that you could be making when you're paying off credit card debt. If you found it helpful, give it a like and share it with a friend. I'm sure they would appreciate knowing what they should be doing instead to pay off their debt much faster. We all need cheerleaders on the journey to being debt free. It's a lot of work, sacrifices, but we can all get on the other side. If you have any advice for anyone going through their debt-free journey, leave it in the comments. Support someone who is going through this journey. Paying off credit card debt is one of the best financial moves you can make for your family. Avoiding these mistakes can help you get there that much faster and save you money and stress in the long run. To learn other strategies to help you pay off credit card debt, this video will be for you. And to help you with other areas of your money, check out this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Bye.